Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Oh, yeah. Scott Drew is out. He said thanks, but no thanks. That really surprises me. And also, Calipari had to throw a little shade on his way out. Now, before any of you Kentucky fans freak out over the shade throwing, it wasn't directed at you. I know how keyed up y'all get.
I'm not keyed up.
So, yeah, it was actually at the administration. We're going to get into that, too. But let's get into this Scott Drew. I thought he was going to take that job. First of all, it would have doubled his pay. Now, granted, Baylor may have increased his pay as well, but what a great opportunity for him. And he's all buddy-buddy with Mitch Barnhart. I'm really surprised. But, you know, look, it's a huge move, and he's pretty happy down there. So let's get into this. And this is on ESPN, and it's all over the news. Scott Drew turned down the job, and he obviously was offered it. Said he decided to stay at Baylor, and it talks about his close relationship with athletic director Mitch Barnhart, but ultimately decided to stay at Baylor. I didn't know he'd been there for 21 years. Geez, 21 years, 446 and 244. He's done a good job there. And his quote was, "We truly believe God has called my family and I to continue our work here at Baylor, surrounded by the best people and community. We're grateful for the support of our AD, Mac Rhodes, and the entire Baylor family." So he said they've established deep roots in Central Texas. And, you know, Louisville tried to get him, it was last month, and he passed on that. So I guess we shouldn't be that surprised because the Louisville job's also a good job. It's not as good as the Kentucky job.
How dare you!
But it's a good one. Now I'm going to tell you what I think. Not necessarily what happened, but I think what would have happened. First of all, the Kentucky fan base did not want this guy. Now, I'm not talking about all of you. I know some of you would have been fine with him, but the vast majority of you did not want this guy. I think this would have been not a bad hire. It would have been a bad hire for him and the fan base. I think he'd have done a fine job, but when the fan base doesn't want you, you have to overperform just to get them to kind of like you. And that's not a good situation for anybody to be in, either side. And probably what would have happened, he'd have probably made it there 2, 3, 4 years. And if he hadn't made a Final Four, they'd probably had to get rid of him because it's not like he's coming in there with a ton of good grace. So I think this was the right choice for both sides, just like I think it was the right choice when Calipari left for both sides. Now the big question is Billy Donovan. Now they're going to go after Hurley again. There's no way he's going to leave Connecticut. He'd be a fool to. He's already won 2 natties in a row there. He's going for the 3rd. Jay Wright, he's not coming out of retirement, so you might as well forget that one. And they've already tried to get Nate Oates, and Nate's not leaving Alabama. So that leaves you Billy Donovan, who I think would be a great get for them. He's already won 2 national titles himself at Florida, which is not the easiest place in the world to win at basketball. And he's been in the NBA. He's really got a ton of history, and he was an assistant coach at Kentucky. I think the fan base would be very happy with him. So I would be very surprised if they don't go heavy at Billy Donovan. Now, they're not going to be able to get him for at least 1 week, because he's got to do that play-in deal with Chicago, and they're probably going to barely make the playoffs, and then, you know, they'll probably get put out, and that'll be the end of that. And then you can find out. But that means for the next 5, 6 days, you could be in a wait and see. Now, between now and then, there's been a lot of talk about Bruce Pearl, which I don't want that to happen. As a Vols fan, I would not like that. I don't want him getting y'all's fan base all fired up, and especially that student section, which he would do. But I don't think he's the right fit for the administration in Kentucky. They're kind of blue-bloody, and he's more of a everyday guy. I just don't think they're going to mesh. So I kind of doubt they'll go that route unless they absolutely have to. And I do think he would take that job. So it sounds like it's Billy Donovan will be their next candidate. And I think, again, that would be a very good choice. So honestly, I think there's a big sigh of relief in Baylor country and in Kentucky country right now. Now let's get into John Calipari, who threw a little bit of shade. And this is by Nick Roush. Nick is a legend. This is the guy that had the greatest rant after Tennessee went up to Kentucky and got a victory from them last year in football. He had the greatest rant ever. It was phenomenal.
Mark Stoops is 2-9 against this team, and to walk around this place before the game, I was disgusted. The smugness of those guys just walking around like, we're going to walk in here, we're going to kick your ass, and you can't do anything about it. And it made me sick. And you know what? They did it. They still did it. What the hell? Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange colors, and their stupid song, and their woo, get their woo on out of here.
But anyway, I like Kentucky Sports Radio. They keep up with things beautifully. Anyway, it says John Calipari gracious to Kentucky aside from a jab at Mitch Barnhart, and he definitely took a jab at him. It talks about how Calipari was introduced as the Arkansas head coach, and he wasn't happy. He said he was trying to make it clear that he didn't want his leaving to happen during the national championship and pull anything away from that. And he said much to his chagrin, the news got leaked. And the second time it was brought up, he said, and it wasn't from my side either. So he's already mad about that. He said his 15 years there, he really appreciated. I think he liked the Kentucky folks. I think they were good to him. He said, we loved our time there. I totally believe that. And then later in the article, it talked about his deteriorating relationship with Mitch Barnhart. Despite their kumbaya moment on Big Blue Nation tonight, the two clearly did not see eye to eye. No, they did not like each other worth a crap. Said Calipari doubled down on his disconnect with the athletic administration during his meeting with the local media. He says while considering the position, he asked his friend Kelvin Sampson about Arkansas athletic director Hunter Yurachek. Said the two previously worked together at Houston. Sampson provided a glowing review to Calipari. He said that got me to where I had to listen to Arkansas's offer because I'm going to say it again. Basketball coaches win games, administrations win championships. You know why? Because they want to, and it's important to them. Oh, yeah, that's some major shade at Mitch Barnhart.
Okay, all right, we got served. So now, I guess, it's on. Yep.
Mitch, you just got served. You got served big time. So Calipari's leaving with some animosity towards the administration. That's pretty clear. And they obviously didn't get along. And here's the thing. Calipari was probably no prize either when it came to getting along. He probably was a little bit arrogant, especially after coming off of winning a national title there. And he had such a great start at Kentucky. He was really doing well. And then towards the end, as he was struggling, the administration, if you're not already like this, if you're kind of like this already, once you start losing, it gets like this. So obviously things had deteriorated badly. And you could tell the fan base was ready for him to leave. The administration was ready for him to leave. And he hadn't really picked up on that yet completely. I think he got back home, kind of felt the negativity towards him, and which is something he didn't particularly care for. And then Arkansas came knocking, and he was like, well, I think I'll go ahead and start talking to him. And honestly, he made the right choice. He's probably struggling with it still and probably will for a few months, but I think this was the right choice for him, and it's definitely the right choice for Kentucky. They're ready to move on. Now, who they get, if they get Billy Donovan, they're fine. That's a great hire. You're bringing in a guy with a ton of history and experience. He's a winner. He's won big in college, obviously, 2 natties in a row. And at one time, he was the hottest coach on the planet as far as college is concerned. So I think Kentucky'd be very happy with him. I don't think the Scott Drew thing would have worked out at all. Not for Drew and not for Kentucky. I think that would have been probably a really bad few years. Even it might have been worse than what you've just gone through. And that is possible. Because if you hire somebody the fan base is not behind, that's not a good way to go. And Drew might have picked up on that a little bit too. And if you like keeping up with this type of college sports, just hit this little button right here. It's a subscribe button. It'll help you get my videos and won't cost you one dime. And right over here's the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.